All right, so it's day 28 of 100 Days of ML. Today I'm going to be focusing on importing the IMDb dataset into my local repository as well as uploading it into the pipeline. So let's see what I wrote down here in our goals. Change the permissions for the files in the ML directory. Add the IMDb dataset into the data directory and add custom data ingestion component. So I've actually been looking into this, and I'm going to come back to it after trying to figure out how to change the permissions for the files. So I'm going to get that started. What I'm actually might also do is focus some of my time on adding GitHub actions and adding styling. So Flake.8, Basil, and Black. I think I might be adding those and then creating some sort of GitHub actions to check every time I push code into GitHub repository. So for that, I might create another branch and I'll call this like development. And every once in a while, I'll merge development into main. And when I push all of my code, I want to make sure all of my code is formatted correctly and all of the documentation is formatted correctly. So first things first, I'm going to try to get the permissions changed on the folders in the files in ML directory. So all of this is protected, and I need to change how to for folder in Linux. So the issue right now is the fact that the permission's set to root, and I want to change it to me, so I can edit without having to type in my password every single time. So what's the access on other files? I think it's owner is me, group is under my name. So I need to do something very similar to these files as well. So the user here would be harsh, I believe. So group, I'll have to change to harsh. Owner, there's no owner flag. So there's recursive. Oh, I could change it in GUI as well. What's this? That's just file. Navigate to target, right click, select properties, right? Click on permissions, click access files and other sections. Click on access files in the others section. Select create and delete. Okay, for some reason I can't seem to, I'm not the owner, so I can't change these permissions. Oh, the folder can be, files can be started with admin access. So sudo -i. And then I can open it from here. What? I can't navigate to my folders now. What location am I on? Where is all stuff is in home? Where is home? It's only root. Let me see root. I only see snap for home. How do I exit out of? It's the same thing. But can I just open this with like root? I wonder if that worked. Okay, cool. So I think I have access now, permission. Me group I'll set to harsh for all of this. Let me see what the properties are here. So it's access, create and delete files, create and delete files. Me, harsh, others is just access. So I'll do the same for all. File access, read and write. Group. I need to edit one at a time, I guess. Since I changed, I think, one of these. Right, so I'll change this back to okay, that's done. What's this? Why isn't that going away? Okay, I think that should be updated. Alright, so now I can start editing the files as normal without having to provide. Let me just check. Let's comment this line. Save, and it worked. Okay, cool. Alright, next up. What is next up? Add the IMDb dataset into data. So about that, I was mentioning it earlier, and I'll continue to mention it. I'll actually mention it now. So I've been trying to figure out a way to import the data without having to kind of write my own custom component. Because the easier it is, the more time I have to work on the rest of the ML pipeline. And what I was looking at was figuring out how to convert TensorFlow dataset into TF record or TF example. And I was reading through this GitHub issue where they're trying to add support to TFX support for TFDS. So something like create example gen from TFDS would be really, really nice. But I think the issue is still open and there's no PRs that come out. So I don't think there's any like solution so far. or some way converting TFDS into a TF record. And I don't think it currently exists. Thank you. They're using splits here. They're using a data directory. But they're using example gen underscore pb2 for it. Dot input. It's just for an input split, I guess. I remember reading this as well in the textbook. I wonder if there's another alternative IMDb classification data set that's like in CSV form or something. This is in CSV. So there's a paragraph followed by positive or negative. So two columns, two features, one the review and the sentiment, or the label is the sentiment. And I could process this fairly easily. I could just go pandas, and then if it's a positive, I can change that to 0 and 1. I think this might work better. Everything is in one file. There's 49,000 values for review. 0 mismatch, 0 missing. So it's already processed. It's kind of a small data set when looking at the the one I have downloaded, I believe. All right, here, let's check out under train. How many folded? It has 12,000 for positive, 12,500 for negative, and for test, it also has 12,500. Let me confirm that by going in here. Yeah, so it's gonna be lacking. No, I think it'll be fine. Yeah, I think it should be fine. Right, I'm gonna be doing this then because it makes it like much easier. I can just load it in as a CSV then. What I'll do probably is add like a data ingestion.py, and I'm going to use pandas to just convert this to zeros and ones, and I'll everything else I'm just going to leave it the same way. So bag of words and all of that, I'm going to be doing it with TFX. So that part, the pre-processing part, I will do it with TFX, and I just convert these positive and negatives to zeros and ones with like pandas or something. And after converting that, I'm going to store it into data, and I'll use that as my data set. Let me extract this into where I want it. So for now, I'm gonna put it in data, and then what I'll do is quickly create probably just a Python Jupyter notebook, and then pre-process it, and then remove this file after processing it. It is comma separated, right? Let me just check. There's a comma here, and then a huge string followed by a comma. Yeah, that should be good. All right, so let me run up the Docker container and get started on that code. Okay, I'm gonna go into ML and then data. I'll create a new notebook. And so import pandas. So now I'll have to, let's move this here. Get rid of this. And this as well. I need to check the pandas documentation for how to get this done. So I'll call this data ingestion, I guess. It's not really data ingestion, it's just like pre-processing, like getting my data into a suitable format before I even use it in the pipeline. So I'll call it like, I don't know, data processing, I guess. So pandas loading CSV. So I think it's read CSV. Let's throw pandas as PD. And what's my dataset called here? Let's rename this so I don't have any issues getting the name. Okay. And let me display df. Cool. And now I just have to replace column with a number. Replace set mapping. Data frame.replace. So df.replace. df.replace. What would I do? Set and test. All right, so this is what I need. How did I do this? They read it, separator, closing file handle, whatever. Creating a dictionary file. So for mapping, like male is 1, female is 0, 2. And then traversing through the data frame, and well, they do it kind of like manually. That's fine too. I could do that. So I'll set sentiment equal to, if it's positive, then I want it as 0, and if it's negative, I want it as like 1. Let me just double check the TF TensorFlow DB text classification if they use the same, or I'll have to like reverse positive and negative here. I mean, the mapping really does not matter as long as I know what I've mapped it to. Negative, 0 is negative. So let's just keep the standard and with what TensorFlow has kept their mapping to. Okay, after this I'll have to do df dot sentiment is equal to sentiment item. So what is this doing? It's for item in data gender, so it's looping through all of the values in the columns for the column gender, and it's mapping it to either like a 1 or a 2 based on if it's male or female. Okay, that's cool. That's simple. Simple loop. And then I can print df again and check. So here, sentiment exists. Oh, data, my data is df. All right, cool. That's done. So now I want to save this as a file. So saving data frame to CSV. So it's called to CSV. What if the CSV already exists? Because I want this to be reproducible. I mean, like if I do this multiple times, I don't want multiple files to be created. And I'm just going to do pd dot to CSV. And I'll call it data.csv, lowercase d. What? Oh, it's not pandas, it's data frame to CSV. There we go. So that should have worked, and there we go. I have data.csv. Why is there an extra comma at the beginning? Let me check if this worked correctly by loading in oh, it just saves like index unnamed. So I should have left like index as false. Let's go ahead and delete this and rerun the. So I'm going to set index to false and run that. Let's check. So I think this worked properly. You can check by running this cell. Yep, this is good. This is good. All right, so that's done. Let me just add some documentation to this so I know like what this file is for. Okay, there we go. That's saved. Now we can begin running our pipeline, TFX pipeline, and we can just create CSV gen, CSV example gen, I think. API components, CSV example gen. We can use this now. Cool, cool, cool. So I believe this should work. And our data path would just be changed in configs. Do I specify data path here? Okay, I have pipeline name here. What am I trying to do here? Retrieve GCP project within Google Cloud. Well, I mean, I don't really need this. GCP bucket, pipeline. This is for GCP, everything's for GCP. So this is pre-processing function, which is in models. This is fine. This is also fine. I'll have to hypertune these steps. I mean, all of these values. Let's go to local runner. Okay, so the data path is here. Data dot CSV. All right, so this, if it's uploaded to GCP, then I'll have to use this, the bucket location. All right, so done with that. Files are in the data directory. Wait, does this take a directory name? Because if I specify data as my directory, then it's gonna be confused, because since I have two CSV files under data. So it does take a directory as an input. That means I'll have to remove this, which also makes me want to, I'll just add this link within the notebook, I guess. Okay, got that done. And now I can remove this because I have the link. And I can now specify this is just data. Okay. All right, that part's done. This should be the same. So I can most likely load in CSV example gen and then data path, which leads to data. And then I'll add this to my components. Next up, compute statistics over data. That should be the same. Generate schema. That should be the same. Anomaly based on statistics and schema. I don't think I'm going to be changing much about that. Transform. Examples. Oh, this isn't really added. Okay, let's try running this now. Like building it locally. And see if it works. TensorFlow pipeline, create path. Let me actually cd into ML and now specify local owner. Detected local. And my pipeline name is text classifier. Paste, run this. Text classifier does not exist. Did I spell it wrong? I don't think so. Oh, it's a dash, not underscore. Okay, what happened here? Files in the same split have different header. Format CSV pattern. What file is this occurring under? Local runner. It's not loading the pipeline correctly. Well, the pipeline, this is pipeline info. It's not loading the data correctly. files in the same split have different header. It's because of the Jupyter notebook file that I have in here. Let me delete the, shoot, gotta move it. Let me load up Jupyter again. I'll move it to ML. I kind of need to create another file here. I'll just call this setup. And now under data, I'm gonna delete this. Checkpoints. Oh crap, did I move the wrong file? Okay, there we go. And I need to get rid of this. Why can I not? There we go. All right. Now let's rerun the TFX pipeline. Oh, great. Okay, so I think it worked. I didn't have any errors running the TFX pipeline. I have a bunch of outputs that's kind of hard to read because of the fact that it's being printed on a terminal as opposed to an interactive notebook on Jupyter. So TFX version, name. Okay, what's the next step, I guess, in... So I run the TFX pipeline, and then what's next? So I review the contents in configs, open my pipelines.py and review the contents there, follow the instructions in the to-do comments, open local runner, and then I just have to python local runner.py. The script creates a pipeline run and specifies the runs parameters, such as data and preprocessing function. So the preprocessing and the function should be much different. due to the fact that my features are different. And I also need to change up the features, so I might get some issues here. Oh, it just runs the same thing. Did features.py ever get called? Evaluator. Yeah, this didn't get appended, so that's why it's not giving me an error right now. All of this isn't appended. So I have to change up that next, I guess. So for the most part, the first step in the pipeline is finished. Where was that beautiful drawing of like the pipelines? I forgot where the diagram went, but okay, so let me update projects to tasks. So data ingestion is done. What's up next is most likely data validation and then data pre-processing. And after that, I believe it's the trainer module. Let me just double check with my notes and make sure I'm doing this correctly. All right, so data ingestion, data validation, data pre-processing, and then there's model training. And then model analysis and validation. And then model deployment. Whatever I end up using, either TensorFlow serving or deployed as a SDK that people can use or build it locally in a Docker container and then utilize it that way. I'll have to figure that out later. So next up is data validation, which is in progress. Now, what I think I'll do tomorrow, since I finished this so quickly, I didn't really anticipate, due to the fact that I just got a CSV file and then did this much easier. What I'm going to be doing tomorrow is, let me open that README. So tomorrow is not importing data, it's going to be adding like formatting. So, okay, here, what did I do here? So add MDP, add custom data ingestion component. I didn't end up doing this. What I ended up doing was convert dataset to desired format. All right, so now what I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm going to set up GitHub Actions. And before I do that, I need to set up like formatting and styling. Mostly with like basil and black. Like it in black. I'll add those two. And that should be good. All right. And then after that, day 30, I'll be continuing with the pipeline data validation.